you need to keep in mind that especially the Jack's Black has salinous acid in it, and they tell me that that permeates your skin very easily and poisons you. So you want to put it in a safe container. And online you can get these Nalgene chemical bottles and properly label the bottle afterwards and split the solutions with your friend. The reason I say you may want to do that is because these solutions are considered, most of them are hazardous materials. So UPS has a special surcharge on shipments, and it's $25 on any shipment. So, and it doesn't make any difference how big the shipment is. It's a $25 surcharge. So get all your chemicals at once, and you only have to hit this fee one time. So nickel plating really is not hard. It's simple. From the time that I decide that I want to plate something to when I'm finished is less than an hour. And so it's not hard. And then that's why I brought this material here, is to see how simple it really is. So, any questions? Yes? Chrome plating is a different ball of wax. Matter of fact, in the processes where I work, we would nickel plate first, and then we'd chrome plate over the nickel. And but most of that was for industrial purposes, like in textile machinery, where we were putting really heavy plating on parts. Pardon? If you have a part that is really badly pitted in brass, then they have a silver-bearing solder called Stay Bright. It's a low-temperature solder. Comes in little spools. You can solder, fill the pits with this solder, level out your part, and then plate over it. And that's the way that you take care of really deep pits if you have to. Anything else?
Do you ever copper plate first? I heard it's better to copper plate than nickel plate over copper.
Well, almost everything that I work with is brass. If you're plating on steel, then yes, that's one of the few things, next time I get in a time machine, I'm going to go back to Scott Radio Laboratories and scream bloody murder until they spend the extra $2 to put a copper flash on before they nickel plate and chrome plate their tube covers. But
I worked with Hackintosh for all these years, and they're chrome, right?
Yeah. Chrome is actually at a microscopic level, chrome plating is very porous, actually. So the moisture gets underneath it. Yeah. Anything else before I turn it over to somebody else?
Did you ever have any, not exactly in topic, but did you ever have any tube sockets where I think what happened was the plating came off the terminal and it caused an intermittent. And when you tried to solder it back on again, it was impossible.
Yeah, there's a boundary layer of oxide on there that you just have to. So you desolder the joint, take your wire out, and get your solder wick there so that you can expose the get down to the bare brass, or in case phosphor bronze or whatever the actual base metal.
Because I think there was a plating layer.
Well,
I think that came off.
I've seen actual silver plate that the silver will oxidize underneath the solder joint, and
Cool.
and so
Yeah, because that was actually a new factor meter. We had 9 meters. I couldn't figure out how to get the wires.
I just thought I'd mention something that I discovered many years ago. I was helping someone restore a 1949 Austin 40 British electrical relays and meters and parts. They used some strange alloy of brass. You could not solder on it. It didn't matter how well you file or clean the brass on it. There was just no way you could solder on that brass. I have no idea why that was.
well, if you use a zinc chloride flux, you can solder to it, but that brings on a whole lot of other problems. You can never have moisture. If you have any kind of high moisture environment around something that you've soldered with zinc chloride, it's going to suck. It's going to suck moisture out of the air and corrode like crazy. Zinc chloride is what they use as a flux when you're doing your household plumbing with copper fittings and all that. And so, anything else? Yes.
Robert, you mentioned the necessity to keep the solution of the part agitated while you're blading. How do you do that?
Well, in the case of my little parts, I just go jingle, 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 until it's done, and that's the easy solution. You could get an air stone from your aquarium and a little aquarium pump, and put it down there, because in industrial processes in the vats where I worked, they were about 16 feet long, about 5 or 6 feet wide, and about maybe 6 or 7 feet deep. And they forced high velocity air through the bottom, through jets in the bottom of the tank, and it was foaming just like a spot, but I don't think I want to get into that. But they use air agitation there in commercial process. Anything else?
You mentioned that overplating can cause like a rough looking surface. How do you know exactly when you're done?
How do you know it's happened?
No, how do you know when you're done?
Oh, you don't. If you know when you've played it too long, if it starts getting clouding up because your layers start to get uneven with time.
You say you're jiggling your part while you're plating it.
Yeah.
How do you know when enough plating is on it? You just take it out and look at it, or?
Take it out and look at it, generally speaking, with the setup. After you've done it a few times, you'll figure it might take, for most parts, 2 to 5 minutes is going to be long enough. And so you do have to do it a couple of times to get the feel of it. So don't start with a Marconi magnetic detector. Of course, they didn't have any nickel-plated parts, I don't think. But anything else? Yeah, Pete.
Any problem by removing an item to look at it and then putting it back?
Yeah, for milliseconds. Just pull it up and look. Okay, and get it back down there.
It doesn't affect.
No, not that type of thing. But I would not hold it up out of there. One of the things that happens if you pull it up out of the vat and you're slow about putting it back down, the plating current at that contact point is going to be much higher, because you're especially with the old, something like this is not regulated output, you'll see the voltmeter kick up to 8 volts or something like that. So right at that point, you'll get very high plating current. So, but once or twice that you've gone through the process, you'll nail it. It's no problem. Anything else before we move on?
Yeah, I was looking at this.
Okay, thanks, and turn it over to Mark again.
Thanks very much, Robert. That was really interesting. Give us a few minutes to, I hope it won't be more than a couple minutes to switch computers. And then Bill Pizzetta will give his presentation.